The Honorable Mia Moore-Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, President of the Senate, Reginald Farley, and former representative of this constituency, Christchurch East. The Honorable Wilfred Abrams, Member of Parliament for Christchurch East. Dr. the Honorable William Dugard, Minister of Housing, Lands and Maintenance. Board of Directors of the Board of the National Housing Corporation, General Manager of the National Housing Corporation, Clyde Cummins. Mark Maloney, Chief Executive Officer, Preconco Limited. I also recognize Albert Best, Director of Arctis Design Group Incorporated. To you, ladies and gentlemen, who are here in various capacities, whether you are a resident of the area, member of the media, of course, an official of the National Housing Corporation, an official of Preconco, and in whatever interest that may certainly allow you to be present, a very pleasant good evening to you, and welcome to the launch of Atlantic Breeze Housing Development. I'm Antoine Williams. I believe that the word breeze is the operative word, because as we sit here under the tent, we can feel the breeze of the evening. And so I'm sure that all who are involved are pleasantly surprised and pleased of this evening's launch. I take great pleasure now in recognizing and acknowledging the Honorable Wilfred Abrams as he offers brief remarks.
Good afternoon, everybody. Prime Minister, all ministers, members of the National Housing Corporation, officials from the National Housing Corporation, from Preconco, media, especially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you all to what is now called Atlantic Breeze. Now, it's an interesting name because if we turn and we start to walk that direction, in about 6 minutes, if you walk slowly, how Mr. Maloney walks in about 3 minutes, you're gonna hit the ocean. And if you start to swim in that direction, the very next thing you're gonna hit is Africa. So the breeze coming through here is as clean and as fresh and as pure as you can possibly get. I'm excited to be here today for the groundbreaking and the actual launch of the Atlantic Breeze project. These are exciting times. The government has committed to providing housing solutions at various levels for the people of Barbados, because housing is one of the things that Barbadians are most crying out for. Everybody wants to own their piece of the rock. Out here, Chancery Lane, Ealing Park, surrounding areas, this is one of the most desirable areas to own any property in Barbados. It is peaceful, it is quiet, it is easy access to many of the amenities. We have a community right here, we have communities right across the road. There's Mike's, there's Roy Smith, there's Buffy down the road. I mean, right here, where I stand, if I own the house right here, this is as good as it gets. You are in the do, but you're far enough out of the town to be enjoying the country spirit and the country vibes. I don't think, Minister Dugard, and I must congratulate you, I don't think you could have found a better place to put this particular development, and I must congratulate you for that. There were some concerns expressed by residents, and we had a town hall meeting, and I think by and large the residents of the area are comfortable with the concept of Atlantic Breeze and what it offers to the people of this area and what it offers to the people of Barbados. Following that meeting at about 10:30 the night, Minister Dugard and I set off on a tour of my constituency, where I identified for him other places that would be perfect to put houses and housing developments. And he's assured me, let's just get started with this one, and he will look at everything else after that. But he said that nothing is off the table. So I am hoping that this is the start of new and more exciting things coming for Christchurch East. So ladies and gentlemen, my job here was actually very, very simple. It was pretty much to welcome you. I want to welcome you, as Adrian Ford says, the epicenter of Barbados. I want to welcome you to the best constituency in Barbados. I want to welcome you to the newest housing development or housing project in Barbados. I want to welcome you to the most desirable housing project in Barbados. And I want to welcome you to the area with the best MP following a certain area in St. Michael in Barbados. And they only get that because the representative is actually here herself. So, all in all, I thank you for coming out. Mr. Maloney, I am dying to see what the finished product looks like. We all know what Corvally looks like, and you have said this is going to be an upscale version of Corvally. This is going to be where any mistakes that were made in Corvally are corrected here. This is where we learn from past experiences and deliver exactly what the people have been crying out for. I look at the houses here, I've looked at the housing plans, and I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, I'm excited and pleased that y'all have put or decided to put this particular project right here in the middle of Christchurch. I am so excited, even getting the words jumbled up. I am pleased that you decided to put this project right here in Christchurch East. And I wish you every success. I hope all the houses sell. I hope that it then inspires you to do more and more, because I am quite happy to work with you and Minister Duguid to put more and more solutions in Christchurch East for the people of Christchurch East and the people of Barbados. So ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for coming, and I welcome you once again to Atlantic Breeze. Thank you.
Minister Abraham's voice can truly be described as one of exuberance and excitement as he awaits, just like all of us, the unveiling and, of course, the start of this housing project. And the one who will set the tone and perhaps paint the picture in his own way as we eagerly look forward to Atlantic Breeze Housing Development is our next speaker. And now I invite Mark Maloney, Chief Executive Officer of Preconco Limited, to offer his remarks and, of course, his plans.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, Honorable Prime Minister, Mayor Motley, ministers, cabinet members, management of National Housing Corporation, the Board of National Housing Corporation, members of the media, distinguished guests, and everyone else, welcome and good evening. It is with great pleasure that I am able to stand here in front of you to be involved in such an amazing project. We were invited to tender on housing solutions with NHC and to bring our many years of experience and relationships in the design and build in the construction industry of Barbados to the forefront. And further to that, we were asked to get engaged in working on this beautiful piece of land. And we came up with a master plan with our amazing team. I forgot that he was a doctor, and he scolded me for it yesterday. So it's actually Dr. Albert Best, and he's just Albert Best, but he is an amazing master planner. He has an amazing team. Within a number of weeks during COVID, they worked 24 hours around the clock to come up with what you see here behind me today, which is a master plan, a community development of 276 homes, along with working with the NHC management, legal team, their design team, and town planning. We were able to effectively collaborate to go through all of the regulatory processes and designs and everything over a number of months, which I think is an amazing achievement, and it shows that with good collaboration and like-minded thinking that we can be here today to not just turn the soil, but I think the directive that was given through the Prime Minister, which came to me, was that we're not turning soil here today, we're starting to build. So this is not just a ceremony turning soil and breaking ground. It's serious business. So we're going to be seeing 276 homes go up in a number of months. Sorry, 267 homes. I hope we could have 276, but I think we tried. Town planner wouldn't allow us. Prime Minister's often correcting me. I get a little bit overwhelmed and want to do more than I should be doing. So we're hoping that we will be able to start homes right away. We got our town planning permission. Thank you, town planning, for really collaborating and working with us to get to where we needed to. And thank you for the conditions that you have on the planning as well. They will make life a little difficult for us, but we will overcome them. Preconco has been working with the NHC for many, many years. And we've done some amazing projects together. We've collaborated on all types of different projects, from multi-story buildings to single-family homes. And this project, as Minister Abrams has said, is really a culmination of all of the things that we've done. And we do believe that all the things that we've done have been good. But, you know, as you do things, you realize that you can do them better and you can make changes, because you're providing housing solutions for all different types of clientele that have their own opinions on how things should work and so on. And until persons living the homes in the communities, you don't know how they're going to accept them. So the changes that we've made here are a culmination of all of the great things that we've done, slightly improved, and some of the things that we've not done so great to change them. We have 6 home designs, ranging from 800 square foot to 1,200 square foot, and the architect will elaborate on those. I don't want to steal his thunder because it was all his work. And the homes are going to be constructed out of the latest technology. We want the homes to be energy efficient. So, you know, one of the things in Barbados is the cost of energy again, so you want to be able to construct homes that are energy efficient and that are sustainable, and the materials that we use are durable. And we've managed to do that over the years. Our ability to be able to procure effectively and efficiently is going to be seen here. We're going to have a different type of roofing solution that are going on these homes that is going to be conducive to the salt spray. So although it is Atlantic breeze and the breeze is amazing, we want to make sure that we have homes and materials that can withstand the elements and that are durable. Most important for our group here today that I would like to share with you is that we love to build homes, but more so we love to build communities. And this is a lifestyle community. And no matter what your pay rate is in Barbados, you should be able to live in a community that is conducive to people being happy. When we just buy land and build homes, you have a development that may be 35 acres like this, and you're building homes in various places, and the first home in there, they have to put up with all of the rest of the homeowners that build in that development and all the things that go with that. And then not having proper covenants that govern what your neighbors do. So you might build your first home, and then the neighbors come next door and they build something that, you know, that upsets you, and it creates problems. And you know, children, you want children to grow up in a home, in a community that is conducive to them learning, to them enjoying, you know, their social activities and so on, so they can go to school and learn and play and be happy. And our mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being is what governs and guides us in everything that we do. And if we can always be in a good place with our MEPs, we believe that we can have youngsters that are growing up to be good adults with good values and disciplines, and we can benefit from a productive environment, whether at school or at home. And when parents can be happy in the environment that they're living in, then they become better employees for their employers. And I don't mean to harp on this, but to me, it's what's really important is, you know, from Monday to Friday, people go to work and they're challenged in their working environments with their employers and all of that. And sometimes the employers don't realize it's because of what goes on in the environment that they live in. They might have challenges with their neighbors, or, you know, people doing things in the streets that they shouldn't be doing that are affecting their children and just their ability to be happy. And If we can create these lifestyle communities, no matter what level, whether it's a $90,000 home that the Prime Minister would like to have built for people that want a home that might not be able to afford it, or a $260,000 home to $380,000 home that these homes are going to be at, lifestyle is important. So you buy into a lifestyle and you have a home, but you don't just want to have a home and then you fight to create a lifestyle that is difficult to create because the environment isn't conducive. And this development, I can promise you, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the culmination of all of the things that we've done that we can do better, and the things that we haven't done the best that we're going to change, because we want this here to be the pinnacle of what lifestyle development is in Barbados. I appreciate the ability for our group and all of our consultants to be able to work on this project. We're very excited. We're fortunate to be able to be chosen as the company that has to put the money behind it, because it was told to us that no money's coming from government coppers or from NHC, so we have the ability to use the land. We have to pay for the land as we sell the homes. We have to pay to put in the infrastructure with our money. We have to build the homes with our money. So this is private sector working with the government, where the government makes the land available for us to be able to do what they want done and what we think we can do for them in the way that they have told us that we have to do it. And it's quite amazing that we've been able to achieve this, and we really look forward, and we can promise the homeowners. I see the home consultants back there just waiting, because they've been after me to get the website launched and to give them the go-ahead to sell. But the interest here has been phenomenal, and there's no shortage of money in the banks in Barbados. Certainly people are going through a hard time and so on, but the saying, soil don't spoil, is true, and people want to invest in a home and a lifestyle, and we're really fortunate to be able to be involved in this. So Prime Minister, ministers, management at NHC, the board at NHC, thank you for believing in us and continuing to know that we will do a good job and that we're here to stay. We're Indigenous. We want to do everything as Indigenous as we can, and we want what is best for Barbados in everything that we do. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Again, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maloney. I quite like the repetitive tone, the word lifestyle, as he indicated to us that this is certainly available to all. And the Atlantic Breeze lifestyle development ties in well with government's housing policies and programs, and of course, that of the Ministry of Housing, Lands and Maintenance. And it's at this point now that the Honorable William Duguid, Minister of Housing, Lands and Maintenance, will offer his remarks and certainly create the tie-in, as it were, as far as this launch is concerned. Minister Duguid.
Honorable Prime Minister, Mia Amor Motley, members of Cabinet, members of Parliament, President of the Senate, and also former Member of Parliament for this constituency, invited guests, members of the Pre-Conquo team, members of the media, the board of the National Housing Corporation. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, to you all. My friends, it gives me no end of pleasure to be here in your company to launch with the Prime Minister yet another project that seeks to bring affordable housing opportunities to Barbadians. Very recently, returned the soil at Vespera Gardens, Lancaster, St. James, to launch the Hope Direct Housing Project, which is specifically focused on the social upliftment of public officers and other first-time homeowners. Under this project, such persons earning less than $4,000 per month are now eligible over the next 2 years to own either a 2- or 3-bedroom house and land at a cost of between $800 or just over $1,000 per month. To date, we've had more than 12,000 applications for that first set of roughly 200 homes. But let me assure you that that was just the beginning for Hope Direct. There are more of those affordable housing opportunities to come in various areas across Barbados. We said we wish to offer thousands of homes over the next 3 to 5 years, and by God's grace, we will endeavor to do so. Yes, we have seen what COVID and volcanic ash can do, but we intend to persevere. Ladies and gentlemen, I began my remarks in that way because I wanted to set the context for this afternoon's launch of the Atlantic Breeze development here in Chancery Lane, Christchurch, within the broader picture of government's housing policy. Our broad goal as a government is to provide affordable housing for all. Many persons will need rental accommodation now until they can obtain their own homes. Many will need subsidized social housing until their circumstances improve. The homeless and other vulnerable groups still have to be looked after as well. So we have to cater to all groups and niches in our society, especially those who need the most assistance. But we firmly believe that shelter is fundamental to human dignity. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy today that Preconco has partnered with us in attempting to satisfy yet another set of prospective homeowners here in the very aesthetic surroundings at Chancery Lane. While the project at Vespera is called Hope Direct because of its target market, this one at Atlantic Breeze is called Hope Premium. And by the way, Vespera and Breeze mean practically the same thing. The idea is the enjoyment of the tranquil Bajan breezes that we all know and love. The Hope Premium project has been created to encourage persons within the middle income strata to own land and house at an affordable cost. It is a grand opportunity for young professionals earning between $4,000 per month to own a piece of the rock with a home in a comfortable environment. This development features 267 homes starting from $265, between $4,000 and $8,000. Although Hope Premium is not strictly connected with our company Home Ownership Providing Energy, Inc., we called this venture Hope Premium. This is just not to reflect the kind of brand and quality we expect or the higher cost of the homes because of the higher income bracket, but to remind you that we're in the business of making your desires a reality when it comes to housing Barbadians. In this development, there will be no emphasis on providing photovoltaic systems, although I understand that persons may request these installed from an individual basis. Studies show that on average, homes with photovoltaic panels sell for 5% more than comparable homes without solar voltaic systems. Also, as part of the project, 4 kiosks will be constructed, and this will provide the latitude for persons in the community to be self-employed. This translates into building economies while creating employment. I encourage the housing and construction sectors to emulate this model. Ladies and gentlemen, the next 12 months promises to be exciting in the housing sector. Certainly from the public sector perspective, my ministry intends to expand rental accommodation while continuing to increase the supply of affordable housing for persons, providing emergency housing assistance to help in the stabilization of families in times of crisis, and partnering with other social service agencies to provide greater housing opportunities for the most vulnerable. All of these ambitious goals we wish to achieve under the umbrella of government's HOPE program. The country's financial sector is liquid, and many seeking opportunity for affordable housing must activate the process with their respective financial institutions. This development at Chancery Lane seems well crafted and designed. The technical team is therefore to be commended for their hard work as they move towards the futuristic designs. Preconco is also to be commended for partnering with the government at a time when it is more critical than ever to stimulate our economy. It was one of several companies which responded to our advertisement for joint venture partners. We stand ready to partner where possible with other similar developers who are ready to provide the financing. We will endeavor to provide the land. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. I would wish to acknowledge at this point in time the Minister in the Prime Minister's office with responsibility for culture and the National Development Commissioner, the Honorable John King. Similar to MP Abraham and Mark Maloney, who certainly stated how excited they are to see the final product. We're going to get close to that now. Not close enough, but close so that we can have some sense of imagination, as it were, in reference to the designs of this housing development. And so now I invite Dr. Albert Best, one of the principal consultants and director of Arcus Design Group Incorporated, to paint that picture for you and certainly to build your excitement. Dr. Best.
All protocols observed. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like you to bear with me to celebrate 23 years in which my company this month are celebrating. Can we have a round of applause for that? All Barbadian company. And I also would like to acknowledge the presence of two of my fellow directors, Adrian Ford and Andre Braffett, who have also worked tirelessly on this project. So I don't want all the praise. I was just the lead consultant for this particular time. I just want to get that out of the way. And I see Atlantic Breeze as, when I think of it, it is all summed up by saying the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. You would have heard Mark Maloney, who was a visionary. You would have heard Minister Abrams, who talked about the social and psychological benefits of this development. You would have heard Minister Duguid talk about the government policies and goals. So all tie in together to form is this kit of parts that come into this holistic realm of Atlantic Breeze. So again, the team, the whole sum come together with an experienced team like ourselves, the location, the lifestyle concept, the government vision for just housing every Barbadian. And I want to say that I want to thank Mark Maloney for having the common sense to solicit us to be partners on this project, right? It was a wise choice, Mark. You know that, right? Right. So a little about Arcus Design Group. I'm not here to sell my company, but I think it's important for you to understand that Mark didn't just went out there and choose anybody. We, as I say, we are celebrating 23 years. Our relationship with Mark goes over 2 decades. We have worked with Mark with similar projects throughout the region. I would not call the regions to give his business away or anything like that. But our master planning experience goes as far back as Emerald Park, which back then we just call it 6 Roads. That was in March 1999. And that was just under 600 houses. So we can pretty much handle ourselves. So we have made mistakes, just like Mark would have done major developments with or without us. He made mistakes too. We actually were responsible for several design concepts for this same piece of land with different developers. And I have to say that this really is the best intervention, I think, that fits into the whole kit of parts, right? So my role this evening is supposed to be short, so I'm pretty long-winded when it gets to architecture and stuff like that, but I was told to keep it brief. So, and my task is pretty simple. I'm getting old, so I make sure I write everything to do justice to the briefs. So you don't mind me looking down every once in a while, right? All right, good, right. So about the site. The site is about 35 acres in size. The name has been influenced with its juxtaposition with the Atlantic Ocean, and that was reinforced with the minister for the area. There are 267 one-story houses. The developer was very conscious of keeping the scale quaint and something that was not going to be obstructive or rebellious to the neighborhood. So they are all one-story houses. The size of the lots are actually 35, just over 3,500 square foot is the minimum size of each lot. But if you add in the road reserve, you have lots that are over 4,000 square feet. Just so that you commend the developer. He is not about cheating anybody. I tell Mark, when we were doing the town planning submission, I said, Mark, but you know, we really supposed to put 4,000 square feet on these sizes. Mark said, no, we're not selling people roads, right? So that speaks to the integrity of the developer. The lots, the density of the development is also, we were very conscious about that. And it was kept to 7.6 houses per acre. Developments of this type would normally run like 12 to 14 to give you an idea of densities that would normally be permitted for such developments. So we were conscious of density. There are about 136 two-bedroom houses and 131 three-bedroom houses. The site is organized to promote a sense of community at 3 levels. So think of this intervention being as part of the greater Chancery Lane community, which exists. I am very familiar with Chancery Lane community. I used to run boat in the swamp. I come from a place just above the hill called Tyne Bottom. So I actually played football. I was a superstar, you know. Yeah, I played for Fairy Valley up there on the hill. So it was easy. So I am intimate with this site and the people down here. Friends of mine live in this area. So we wanted to do something that we can celebrate, and I can still speak to these people, and these people speak to me. And I think that we have done a reasonable job to achieve this. So the community would integrate with the existing community, Chancery Lane community, that was one premise. Then we wanted a localized community where the people within the Atlantic Breeze community could feel like they are part of an isolated community within a bigger community. And then there was a third tier of community level where we have a cul-de-sac concept where everybody in that actual cul-de-sac knows the neighbor's name, the children's name. You have watchdogs for each other. So there are 3 concepts that we have put as premise to develop the community. Then we have the streets. The main street is called Henry Street. Is about 20 feet wide with 5 feet rollover sidewalks. The rollover sidewalks is to give you that extra latitude so somebody don't run you off the road, right? It bisects the site. It runs for 668 feet long, and it perforates the development to serve several functions. The 3 functions first is a gateway to the greater Chancery Lane community so that people can go to and fro, right, throughout the community. That's like the main road, the main spine, the artery. And then it's going to serve for vehicular and pedestrian access to and from the community itself. Then we have is also going to serve as a bridge to the 7 avenues that we have. The 7 avenues that I talk about, that would be the cul-de-sac neighborhoods that we are creating. And all this premise is to generate traffic calming and this type of thing. But we are promoting pedestrian movement throughout these sites. We are linking each of these cul-de-sac communities with pedestrian walkways. Each of these communities, the houses run from like 6 to 41. So they're different sizes. There are 6 of the avenues, the names were inspired by the whole concept of the Atlantic breeze. That was the directive from the developer, and he has to take total credit for the names. You have names like Driftwood Avenue, Moultrie Avenue, Sand Avenue, Salt Avenue, Seashells, and Starfish. The 7th Avenue is called Park Lane, and that's because that is the avenue that is actually adjacent to the park within the community. And that park is actually just about an acre in size, and that's envisaged as being the main meeting point for the people in the community. And that would be accommodating the mailboxes, the community mailboxes, along with the 4 kiosks that Minister Duguid would have highlighted earlier that supposed to generate some enterprise movement within the community because that is by the community for the community. They will have things like juice bars, pizza shop, fruits and vegetable, retail shops, etc. Now, let's go into the houses. Just like the avenues, the names, there are 6 prototypes for the houses. And just like the avenues, the names are influenced by the Atlantic Ocean. So we have names like Serenity, Pearl, Sunrise, Seafoam, Cove, and Sea Rock. And there are three types are 2 bedrooms, and three prototypes are 3 bedrooms. The 2 bedrooms are approximately 980 square feet, and they are comprised of the following. I know some people taking notes. The master bedroom with a reach-in closet, and they're approximately 10 by 13 feet, so they're not small and squinty like people might think. And that is completed with an ensuite master bathroom with shower enclosure, 5 by 8. You have one common bathroom with a shower. You have a secondary bedroom, which is approximately 10 by 12 feet. That's 120 feet, pretty sizable. You have a laundry area, combined living and dining room because it's open space, and it's 10 by 22 feet. You have an open kitchen with modular cabinets, and that kitchen is 9 by 10. You have a terrace, which is 5 by 10. And you have the complements that you have to these houses in particular, which I like, is the developer vision. He capitalized on people having to work from home and dictate that there should be an office or multipurpose room in addition to these standard requirements that you would have. So each house is both 2 and 3 bedroom. Will have a multipurpose room that can serve as a den, an office, or even an additional bedroom. And in addition to that, you have a detached storage shed, which would be 6 by 6. It's not attached to the house, so you can store your stuff. Now, the 3-bedroom units, they are approximately 1,205 square feet, and they have master bedroom with ensuite bathroom. They have 2 common bathrooms, so that's a total of 3 bedrooms in the 3-bedroom house. You have 2 secondary bedrooms, laundry area, living and dining area, open kitchen, multipurpose room, terrace, and detached storage shed. The building components, you have interlocking pavers to the driveway and walkways. You have the precast walls finished with medium grade trouble text. That's good to combat the seismic forces, earthquake, hurricane. Developer told me the other day we have to find a way to deal with the ash. You know, we haven't really prepared for that when we designed these houses. The PV roof sheets installed on timber decking and wood rafters. That's a real sustainable system. It helps breathe easy. There's no rusting or insect attraction or anything like that. And they're going to be on these houses here. You have sash windows, and the main floor areas will be finished with click vinyl floor tiles and porcelain tiles for the terraces and the bathrooms, as well as the laundry areas. You will have fiberglass exterior doors and hollow core wood doors for the interior. And they'll be complete with solar panel for heating. That is pretty much the brief. I hope I've done justice in capturing or generating a picture of what this thing likely to be. And again, I want to use this forum to commend the Minister Duguid, the Prime Minister, and Minister Abrams for this vision that they have at trying to house people in Barbados. Housing is a passion of mine. It's something I did when in my studies. I mean, actual housing. So having the opportunity to work and being part of something like this is phenomenal for me and my team. And I want to thank Mark again for giving us the opportunity to work along with him for this, because he has options. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Best, for certainly painting the picture. It is much clearer for sure. I also want to take the opportunity, and I do so on behalf of all present and on my own behalf, in congratulating you and your entire team on your celebration. It is always good when we have an all-Bajan company and, of course, still functioning amidst the storms and still contributing to Barbadian lifestyle. As I speak of Barbadian lifestyle, it gives me great pleasure now to recognize and invite the Honorable Mia Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, to offer the feature address. And why do I say that? Because as we take note of the leadership of the Barbados Labour Party government and the intention to ensure that Barbadians enjoy a lifestyle, and that housing is one of those prerequisites where every Barbadian certainly will matter. So please, let's acknowledge now Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Mia Motley.
Thank you very much, everyone. Distinguished guests, all. You can't reap unless you sow. And you know, when we came to office, I understood then, as I do now, that it is not simply to spend 5 years occupying offices, and that our responsibility was first and foremost to help transform this nation and to bring about changes in how we do things, but more importantly, changes in how people can live in this country and what they can aspire to, but more importantly than even aspirations, what they can actually achieve. And I start from this point this afternoon, largely because we set out to continue what we believe to be the strategic imperative that caused people to gather in Bay Street 83 years ago, and to dream of a Barbados that would not exclude citizens from the prospect of development. That dream was anchored primarily in the recognition that education, healthcare, and housing were the basic requirements for the average Barbadian in order to be able to, one, enjoy their lives, but two, move to the next level of development. It was because of that dream that Grantley Herbert Adams, the Right Excellent Sir Grantley Herbert Adams, embarked on a process of public housing that saw public housing being built from as far afield as Belle Plaine in St. Andrew to the Pine in St. Michael. It was because of that dream that Tom Adams in 1981-82 set about the task of recognizing that we needed to empower people who already had houses, but whose tenure was always questionable because they lived in tenantries owned by someone else. And it led then to the Plantation Tenantries Freehold Purchase Act. Initially for 2 houses or more, subsequently changed by another government to 5 houses or more. So much so that those remaining as single lot tenants for 20 years or more under the initial legislation received the same benefit of 10 cents a square foot to purchase the house. Many Barbadians are unaware that that policy, 40 years later, is still in existence. And as I travel the world and tell people that we have our own form of land reformation and redistribution, such that we were able and still are able to allow persons who live on plantation tenantries to purchase the land at the equivalent. They don't know what 10 Barbados cents is, so I tell them 5 US cents per square foot. And that a person can have access, literally, to 5,000 square feet for $250 US, cheaper than a pair of Air Jordans or any other sneaker of your choice. It was that same dream that led the Right Honorable Wayne Arthur, who is no longer with us, to introduce a policy of $2.50 per square foot for access to land in non-plantation tenantries. And Mr. President, you will recall this being part of the decision in Cabinet to make this a reality, such that those who lived in the urban corridors in Christchurch and St. Michael, parts of urban St. George, as difficult as it may seem for some people to recognize, you know that there are parts of St. George now that are very close to St. Michael, like Salters, etc. St. James, that people who lived on those non-plantation tenantries should not be disadvantaged from the need for having access to subsidized land purely because they were in town. The difference is, and was then, and remains, that the ownership of those lands in the urban corridor that were non-plantation invariably were small people who had come to town, may have had an acre or a half acre, and told their family or neighbors from where they came from to come and hold 5,000 or 4,000 square feet to be able to take care of their families when they came to town. So that we understood that we could not disadvantage those owners, and therefore the government carried the subsidy for the tenant while at the same time guaranteeing the owner, the small owner of those lots, the market price of the land, which initially was at $10 a square foot and was eventually carried to cap at $15 a square foot, which is a higher price than what I'm now coming to. It was that same commitment and philosophy, therefore, that inspired my government to set out to want to have a silent revolution in housing in this country. I started by saying that you cannot reap just so. We all know that. And I've had cause this week to say already that I can't twiddle my nose and say, look a house. That you have to come up with the plans, Dr. Bess. You have to have access to the land, Minister Duguid. You have to have access to the financing and the management to be able to do the construction, Mr. Maloney. And therefore, it became clear to us that we needed to examine the market and we needed to examine the times in which we live. We live in a country where I must confess to you that with every hurricane season, I sleep with one eye open because too much of Barbados's lower and lower middle income housing stock is at risk because of the manner in which it was built many years ago. There are those in this audience who will tell the story of Hurricane Janet that particularly hit the south of this country, right where we are, in a terrible way. And that led to a shortage of carpenters and tradesmen, such that O'Brien Trotman tells the story many years ago to me of the preponderance of storm carpenters who rose. And what is a storm carpenter? Somebody who could hold a hammer and could hold a nail, but knew nothing else. So they didn't understand trusses, and they didn't understand how to lock down roofs and a whole host of other things. And what we then had was a series, as you all know, because what was meant to be a temporary fix has become a permanent style, regrettably, in this country. And that is the flat roofs. Why am I talking about a silent revolution? Because before we even became the government, in our manifesto we spoke about the need to have a major structural transformation project in this country, running from roofs to reefs. Roofs to reefs. Because the very roofs, for the majority of low-income Barbadians, continues to be an issue with high wind. Tropical Storm Quirk, luckily, didn't hit us badly. But before that, I went with the very same Member of Parliament for Christchurch East as he now is. He was not then. And in Fairy Valley, would have seen, in Parish Land, would have seen houses whose roofs had been taken off. And in fact, it was almost as if a tornado-like wind came through the church by providence and removed these roofs. It therefore meant that even though we wanted to embark aggressively on a housing program, that we had to plan and to make sure that it could not be business as usual. I wish we had the money to change every roof in this country that needed changing. That is the truth. But one blow is kill old cow. And what we have agreed to as a government is that all housing which is undertaken in the name of the public sphere, and as much as possible through the town planning department for the private sphere, must ensure that we are building green and resilient housing in order to be able to live in this world in which we, as Barbadians and as Caribbean people, and as small island developing states people, remain on the front line of the climate crisis. It is absolutely critical that this become the standard, in the same way that the building of flat roofs became the unintended standard post-Hurricane Janet. We have been lucky, but we are not always going to be lucky. And it is therefore good for us to remember that the Lord helps those who help themselves. And the first step to helping yourself is making sure that your housing is resilient. So from the very beginning, in the last almost 3 years, we have insisted that there be a program structured for a decade that looks to protect our roofs, but then looks at what we do on shore that ultimately affects our reefs, because the majority of Barbados is really a coastal economy. There will be another occasion for me to speak to the reef side of it, but because I do not want to have you here in the dark, I will not refer to that this evening. On the matter of roofs to reefs, therefore, we set about in 2019 having a public consultation with construction-related professionals at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center, where we set about trying to change and move the needle by getting new house designs and new concepts in terms of what is critical. And not only because of the environment, but because fundamentally housing policy is at the core of social policy and cultural policy. How we live in terms of our houses influences what we do as individuals and families. And therefore the planning, Dr. Bess, that is critical, Mr. Maloney, for this kind of development can positively or negatively impact on what kind of community and what kind of society we have. And that is why I have therefore been glad to see that we have created opportunities for persons to be able to have access to their own space. We recognized that it wasn't just about the house designs alone, and that we needed to be able to look at different strata of incomes to ensure that there would be affordable and accessible and suitable to the needs and aspirations of the people to whom we were targeting. We set about from early recognizing that the cost of land and the cost of construction for some, particularly in the lower income and the lower middle income groups, remained a little too high for people to reach. We recognize that, and that is why we have the Hope Direct scheme that really focuses on people earning between $2,000 and $4,000 a month, many of whom have jobs. Police officers, nurses, teachers, all starting off. But nowhere affordable, because people wanted $25 and $30 a square foot for that land. So that we had to develop a project and a product which we have just launched at Lancaster for Hope Direct. We understood, however, that there's another category of person and family, either because collectively they earn more, or individually they are earning more. And that we needed, therefore, to have a Hope Premium project, but with a slightly different mechanism for how it is rolled out, as well as how and what it targets. This is the project, as you heard from the minister, that is intended to target persons earning between $4,000 and $8,000 a month or so. And it therefore will create an opportunity either for families, young families, or indeed, as I said, single adults who are earning within that price range. My friends, I hope to come to you within the next few months with the one that then deals with the strata. And that's why Mr. Maloney laughed when he said that the Prime Minister wanted a $90,000 house. Because there is a category of person in this country who does not earn $2,000 easily. Or even if they do, does not earn it in a sustained way such that the bank or the credit union is going to take comfort in giving them a mortgage. This country must see them always. And this government will honor the commitment and the philosophy that inspired Sir Grantley, that inspired the Honorable Tom Adams, that inspired the Right Honorable Owen Arthur, and that inspires us as a generation to be able to create that silent revolution. I spoke to you about the importance of resilience and the kind of architecture that we need to have to withstand hurricanes and storms and floods. But I also want to tell you the approach that we took, because we recognize that in the context of what was transpiring in this country because of the economic contraction in Barbados for more than a decade, that it would have been difficult for us to meet people's natural desire for housing with land at $25 and $30 a square foot. There's no way for them to go. And that is why when the minister launched Hope Direct, we've had more than 12,000 inquiries for just over 200 houses. And that is why I'm even told here that at the end of the town hall meeting, on that night, almost half of the people who attended the town hall meeting signed up for expressions of interest to find out more about this Hope Premium project. But what is the revolution? If you can't reduce the cost and make it affordable in the same way that Sir Grantley did, or in the same way that Tom did, or in the same way that Owen did, then we would never be able to meet the demand. And what we therefore set about to do from as early as 2018 was to impose planning gains on persons who want to do major developments in this country, and to say to them, we have no difficulty with agreeing to the kind of development that you want to do and the scale of it, but there must be planning gains to benefit everyone, because we live in a country where everybody must be carried forward. If not, you're going to have instability. So the first thing we did, in many instances, is to reduce the cost of land by ensuring that either it is land that the Crown already owns, or that it is land that we have received, as we have been doing in planning gains from others. Secondly, we decided that we had to reduce the cost of services, because the cost of the development of services in many other instances would be prohibitive. And indeed, it is fair to say that we've been able to hold the cost of services to that which they were about 15 years ago. Thirdly, we recognized that we needed to reduce the cost of construction where possible through bulk procurement and through appropriate planning and removal of inefficiency in the project planning of department. And fourthly, that the cost of the mortgage and the capacity to access the mortgage became critical. The government has the Housing Credit Fund, which has now therefore been pressed into use in order to be able to help us with the Hope Direct and with what will be coming for the low-income earners who cannot afford anything because they're earning $2,000 or less, and for whom the necessity for rent to own or for a stabilizing factor in the mortgage that they can access a mortgage has to be there, just with the Hope Direct people. Without the ability to use the roofs to generate energy, many in the Hope Direct program, $2,000 to $4,000 in earnings, would have difficulty. Without the ability to utilize, once again, the roof space and the other space that we find across the country, while looking at other materials and other forms of construction, we would not and will not be able to meet the demand of those at the very bottom of the housing market. Let it not be said that Sir Grantley was able to do more in the 50s than an independent Barbados can do for its people. And it is for this reason that this government has set about committing itself to what will come, I believe, to be regarded as a silent revolution in housing in this country. We are literally unlocking and recreating everything in order to make sure that people can have what is the first collective dignity of a family. Individual dignity is about food and personal hygiene. Collective dignity is getting that space that this family can live together in peace and harmony. You heard Mr. Maloney speak about the concerns that persons may have as they go to work, and people not truly appreciate what is bothering them when they're looking and seeing somebody else with a face set up. Oh, you don't know what they're going through. I learned from a very early age from Sir Harold St. John that you don't look at somebody and judge them because you don't know what they're going through, went through, or will have to go through to walk the path that they're walking. And it is excellent advice that I've kept close, because at the end of the day, we have to create those spaces where people can live in harmony together, first and foremost in their families. So my friends, I am happy to be here this evening. I am happy to be associated with this project that will see the construction of 267 middle-income houses. 267 families will get the chance to lay down the roots and to own a piece of the rock, to be able to dream about who and how they will relate to it and landscape it and have memories built in it that will make all the difference to the stability of a family and to the opportunities of the children and the grandchildren in that family. I'm conscious that we are doing this 35-acre development on the fringe of an existing development that has been here for decades. And I want to thank all who have been involved for making sure that there is an appreciation of the community into which we are coming and a sensitivity to the needs of those persons who will accept that there will be some inconvenience for some time, because construction does bring inconvenience. But equally, there is nothing in life that is worth it that comes without some level of inconvenience or pain. And we all know that at a personal level. We believe that this will create opportunities. Dr. Bess, you spoke of where you have come from in Time Bottom, of your own journey in this community. Wilfred, you as a Member of Parliament can give similar and tanta stories to that effect. And we must therefore ensure that in all that we do, that we create the opportunities for that kind of harmonious living between those who have been here and those who are to come here. By the same token, let us not get tied up. This project is about jobs as well. And this project will mean that people have to come to work every day on this site and to help construct these houses and these wonderful designs that we have, so that in the shortest possible time between the construction and the landscaping and the development of the services, hundreds of Barbadians will be given an opportunity to be able to earn and to be able to sustain their families at what has become to be regarded as one of the most difficult moments globally for all of us in the last century. That we, therefore, can sustain families while ensuring that we build something productive that makes 267 families better off at the end of this project is why we have been elected by the people of Barbados to bring a better life for our people. I look forward to doing a few more of these over the next few months. And I've told the minister that he is to press full steam ahead, because this government must be able to meet the needs of different types of Barbadians wherever they are with respect to that most basic of collective needs, housing. We are conscious that much of the public housing that has been built is overly densely populated. And therefore, there is going to be the need for the dilution of that density in the Pine Wildy, in Haynesville, in Silver Hill, Gall Hill, in different public housing areas across the country. And it is to that category of person that I say to you that do not believe because we have launched 2 projects that we have forgotten you, for we have not. I look forward next week to take a presentation from the Ministry of Housing that focuses exclusively on that low-income housing, recognizing that if we want to keep the prices down, as I have suggested, to make housing affordable and accessible to each and every Barbadian according to their circumstances, then it means some out-of-box thinking, which we will have to discuss and engage with. We want, as far as possible, in that instance, to keep people in existing communities, because communities matter and relationships in communities matter. But it therefore means that the Ministry of Housing has to work hand in glove with the Town Planning Department to be able to do the kind of infilling that will allow us to deal with this. The only aspect of the housing program that we have not yet been able to do, and I confess that COVID has put that on pause, is the derelict housing program. There are too many derelict houses across Barbados that can be brought back into productive use. And my government intends to have a public-private consultation to see how best we can bring these derelict houses, predominantly in urban Barbados, but some in suburban and rural, back into productive use, recognizing that in many instances, it is conflict within families that have prevented those houses from being repaired and pressed into productive use. Somebody dead, nobody don't want to go forward and spend the money to be able to do the planning, or somebody frightened that if they spend the money, the rest of brothers and sisters ain't gonna get them back the money. Nobody wants to spend the money to do the administration, letters of administration or the probate. We know these stories well. But what it means is that it goes from good to not so good to really looking pop down to derelict. And by the time it reached derelict, it housing rodents and mosquitoes and criminal activity. And we have, as a nation, to find other ways to dealing with it. And why? Because this is the nation that almost 100 years ago or more, maybe even more now, that found a way of giving title to ordinary Barbadians who received the land, as they would say. Only this last weekend, my father and I had the discussion, from seed to seed. This is the country that created the legal fiction of title suits, foreclosure suits, whatever you want to call them, that cause you to be able to go to the lawyer, advertise that I got this piece of land that my father gave me, that my mother gave me, that my grandmother gave me, but I got the title papers for it. I got the papers for it. And the people then go and they say, okay, we'll do a title suit. So we advertise and do a fictitious mortgage arrangement. And you're reclaiming it. And you go to the registrar, and the court gives you what is known as the registrar's conveyance, which is the most perfect form of title, undefeatable, as Wilfred is reminding me, that you can get. and this been going on about here for 100 years or so. I'm sharing this with you because I really believe at the core of the public-private consultation that we will have on derelict housing, that we will have to find legal ways to match individual families with those who have capital or those who have expertise in order to bring back many of these houses into productive enterprise. But we haven't been able to get there, regrettably, as quickly as I would have liked, because all of us know that we get sent on a diversion on a road called COVID. But not even COVID can keep us down. For in the words of Jeffrey Bostic, there shall be no retreat and no surrender. And we have done well. We can always do better, but we have done well. So my friends, over to you to start the real work. I believe that those who will reflect in the future on the silent revolution in housing will come to understand the critical role played by the launching of Hope Direct and the launching this evening of Hope Premium. The Minister has already indicated to you that this is a genuine joint venture project. The contractor and developer is risking their money. The government is risking its land until, of course, the houses are completed and the conveyance then carries the land to the purchaser and the risk of the contractor to the purchaser through a mortgage. The opportunity for the photovoltaic is there, but unlike Hope Direct, where it is central, it is not the core of this project because we accept that we are dealing with people whose income level is at a higher point, and therefore the housing and the land and the development is intended to meet those circumstances. By the same token, we have also agreed with other persons who expressed their desire when we advertise for expressions of interest for those in Hope Direct to work under the guidance of the Hope Inc., where we will give smaller amounts of houses to contractors and control the bulk purchasing, etc., to the larger entities like Hope Premium, where the contractor brings their own money and brings their own development and their own organization to sell, and the National Housing provides the land and refers people, if necessary, to persons who then will have to get their own mortgages. So my friends, I believe that this is a recipe for success. Bottom line is, as long as you have hope, we will give you housing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister Motley. I'm going to borrow your tagline, a silent revolution in housing for Barbados. I quite like that. And all that has been done thus far and still being done certainly underscores such a tagline. I now invite MP for the area, Christchurch East, the Honourable Wilfred Abrams, as we prepare for the groundbreaking exercise. And this will be, of course, witnessed by the principals, Minister Duguid, Prime Minister Motley, and Mark Maloney, and of course, Minister John King, and the architect, Dr. Albert Best. And you also, in your presence, you would witness the official exercise, as it were. So, if you would be so kind.
I'm just warning y'all, Minister Duguid is instructing me on the use of the Bobcat excavator. So please stay here. If you go out there, you do so at your own risk.
As I made mention, this is a formality as we break ground, as it were, and certainly set the exercise and the journey for the housing development, the Atlantic Breeze lifestyle development. The applause certainly indicates that they did well. I'm now going to invite Prime Minister Motley, Minister Duguid. I also recognize Minister Ryan Strawn, Minister John King, Minister Abrams, Mark Maloney, and Dr. Best, the principals, to kindly bring your attention to this section now as Prime Minister Motley, she offers the official launch and of course the declaration of the Atlantic Breeze lifestyle development. I'm also inviting the General Manager of the National Housing Corporation, Mr. Cummins, to kindly join the officials. Thank you very much. I do believe that deserves a round of applause. Thanks to all of the principals involved. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. All of the ministers, thank you. And of course, developers and contractors as we stage this evening's launch. Thank you so much. Continue to enjoy the evening. I invite you now to enjoy some light refreshments and of course, continue the fellowship experience here this evening. Thank you.